In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the key points that my team has told me what makes our culture different. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Claudio, owner of WinRate Consulting and host of the Big Stud podcast. And we've gotten a lot of feedback over the years from employees and clients and vendors that the culture that we've built here is just a little bit different than they've seen elsewhere. The buy-in, the camaraderie, the comfort, the safety, the being seen, being heard, and being supported by each other. Like across the board, it's one of the best teams I've ever been around. And it's easy for me to say that, but it's also hard for me to see some of the things that makes it different. I've only ever ran a company my way this way, and I've been a part of others, but I've never had one so virtual. Like we have 3 employees that are local, we have 13 or 14 that are virtual, but we've still been able to build this tight-knit kind of family-like community inside of our company. And so there's some things I was like, I don't know, let me reach out to the team. And so I sent a text message out to the team. We got some things back, and Cooper, my new videographer, is gonna ask me some questions so I can kind of go into my perspective of how and why our culture is just a little bit different. Hopefully you can take something away that you can take into your world, whether your family, your business, your environment, your nonprofit, your school, your business, whatever, and make an impact to make your culture just a little bit stronger. Coop?
What made you start WinRate?
So originally I started WinRate Consulting as a way for me to impact people. I had built a couple companies from a key leadership role. So I was an employee of these companies. I didn't own them. I was just a key kind of number 2 employee in those companies. I helped them grow. And people started asking me questions about what I was doing or how I was doing to help them. I realized I was good at helping people. I realized what I had to say was valuable. And I originally was just like, how do I monetize this advice? So that was more of me developing just a high-paying job for myself. But when I realized the size of the impact that I could make, I realized I needed to build a company. So I think there were 2 kind of seasons of this. There was the Mike Claudio wants to make money giving advice. And then there was the, wow, the need for this is substantially larger than I can support myself. Now I need to go build a company. And that was basically over the last 18 months. So 2018 is when we started. The end of 2021 is when I decided it's time to build this into a company, not just a personal brand. And the last 16 months, we went from 3 employees to 17. We went from 30 clients to 100 clients. And the concept and the approach of what we were trying to do worked really well. Mostly because of some of the cultural things we're going to talk about today, with interviewing properly, onboarding properly, holding people accountable properly, and ultimately living the standard. I think the most common feedback we got from that question was, I represent the standard consistently, and it promotes and holds other people accountable to doing that as well. But I think there were 2 seasons of the WinRate story. There was the Mike Claudio wants to make money for giving advice, and then Mike Claudio can't do this alone forever. It's time to build an actual company.
What was your number 1 goal from the start?
I mean, the mission statement was always the same. It was, I want to make an impact with every conversation I have. I didn't know the coaching industry. When I first started WinRate, I didn't know what the coaching industry was at that time. I had not really been around it, like the online coaching space at that point. I didn't know what it was worth. I didn't know what I was going to charge. I didn't know how I was going to teach. When I first started, it was just like, I believe what I have, the knowledge I have can help people, and I believe the value of that impact is worth money. And so originally when I started, it was like, I just need to go make an impact every time I talk to somebody, and the brand and the impact will grow. And so our mission statement to this day is we simplify and systemize the growth of home service companies by having an impact with every conversation we have. And I'm very focused on that because it allows me to be compartmentalized into the conversation I'm having. Because when I first started coaching, I was still vice president of the roofing company. So I was running a sales team, assisting running the company, had my own pipeline of clients, and I was coaching clients on the roofing side, and I was coaching people kind of on the side at the beginning. And so my ability to just compartmentalize to one conversation at a time, and how I need to show up and how I need to represent, how I need to communicate in that one conversation, was how I was able to grow this the way I did, because I was able to switch hats very effectively. And to this day, content, father, husband, leader, coach, it's constantly changing every day. I mean, just today, we've done 4 or 5 different pieces of content with different perspectives. I did a leadership meeting today. I did a coaching call today. I'm gonna, play guitar with MJ after this. And it's a constantly evolving. I have to wear a different hat in a lot of conversations. So that helps a lot.
How did you determine which core values you use?
No, it's a good question. That happens a lot. So my core values evolved at the beginning of 2021. So I knew the value of core values. I understood what they were to an extent when I first built the company. So I had my initial list. I actually haven't looked at it in a while. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was more generic. It was more integrity and timeliness and honesty and hard work and dedication. Like, those weren't the exact words, but it was stuff like that. That was very generic, and it didn't, I think, do a great job of, like, when you read them, I didn't think it did a great job defining me and the culture I was building. So I do a company retreat at the beginning of every year. Like, you just missed it. And so we did our company retreat. At that point, there was like 4 of us, and we went to Isle of Palms and outside, just off the coast of Charleston. And I was like, I want to rebuild these to represent us better. And I'm really big on acronyms. I think acronyms help the core values. You articulate them simpler, but the message means more, right? So when I say the coach approach or the coach mentality, which is coach, everybody knows that means communicate proactively, operate the health first mentality, appreciate every time, continue to evolve, and have a championship mindset. And so we started rewording them to represent us better. Literally, there were 4 of us, 4 employees at that trip. 3 of them are no longer here. It was kind of nuts. But so we reworded them to, like, represent our brand better. And then, like, people still don't believe me, but, like, we only had to change 1 word for the acronym to be coach. That was not the initial intent. I did not say, oh, I want the acronym to be coach because that's what we do. No, we built core values. And then the only one that we had to change was we had help first mentality as the core value. We changed it to operate with the help first mentality to get the O. And then it just by chance spelled coach, and it just landed and it hit. And then, so I think you have to start with something. You have to live with it for a period of time, especially if you've never had them before. And then you need to revisit them. And there is not a specific cadence that I think is important. I think it's a understanding, like, does this can I use this as a tool to hold my company accountable to the things I want? And I felt like the generic list that didn't really represent me as aggressively as I wanted it to, didn't do that initially. So we ended up rewriting the beginning of 2021, and here we are, 2+ years later, and I don't see us needing to change them anytime soon. I think they do a great job representing us both internally and externally. Here's some things my team said that makes it different, and I'll describe why I think it's so important. So one of our core values is continually evolve. And one of the statements we got is, our culture is one that highly encourages personal growth, therefore we bond over being better humans. I think there's a lot of times in life that people find it hard to find their group of humans, their people that they can evolve together, where, like, they're not afraid to fail. Like, failing forward is one of the bullet points under continually evolve. And when you have a place that you feel safe trying new things and failing forward, you tend to build some camaraderie there where you don't feel as alone. You don't feel like people are going to judge you. You don't feel like people are going to look down on you, because everybody's trying new things and everybody's failing forward. But that, like, we have a mindset around, we're going to try new things. We're going to fail forward. If you're not failing, you're actually not living up to our core values of continually evolve. And so it creates this very safe place for people to have ideas, have interest, take initiative, go above and beyond, because they're not afraid to fail. They're not afraid to fall, because they know that we're all here to support each other. And which is, one of the other parts of this is, like, unwavering support from the team internally, is because we're all given permission to fail, which means we're all given permission to support each other when that happens. It's not, oh my God, she failed, oh, she sucks. It's, hey, you tried something new, great job, let's help make this work for you. Or, hey, you took initiative on that, didn't go like you want, let's look at it together, let's make it happen. Oh, like, you have a family issue right now that's more important, family comes first, let us pick you up and make that happen for you. It happens a lot. Several times out of several people on the team, we fail forward together, and nothing's, Lindsay actually said no win is too small. Like, we celebrate our wins, we celebrate our people. Like, every Friday on our team call, we go around, everybody shares a win, loss, or lesson learned from the week. And so people are okay sharing lessons learned. They're okay sharing losses just as much as they're okay sharing wins. I think it's so hard to find cultures where people are even willing to share a win, because it sounds like it's bragging, or it sounds like you're trying to make other people look bad. Like, no, we really unapologetically want to see each other win. And that doesn't mean you're winning, doesn't mean I'm losing. I think a lot of cultures in business, because there's this hierarchy, there's this vying for position or vying for ego or vying for that promotion, there has to be this, I'm good and you're bad, that's why I'm better than you. That doesn't happen here. There is hierarchy, there is chain of command, there is leadership, but no one's trying to beat each other. We're all trying to win together, and we're all trying to support each other pretty aggressively. The lack of judgment on the team is pretty incredible. And I think it opens up so many lines of communication that allow us to solve problems faster. This allows us to acknowledge problems faster, allows us to acknowledge wins faster, allows us to have new people like Cooper come on the team and feel welcome from the beginning, because none of us are trying to prove anything, where no one's trying to pull rank, no one's trying to be like, hey, you're there, I'm here, or like, hey, you're new, don't fuck up. Like, no one, like, we don't do that at all, because we want to really make sure that we have a free environment of support and love and appreciation. I think that comes from me. Like, I don't yell at people typically. I don't talk down to people. I don't, put people in a bad spot. Like, I correct them, I hold them accountable, but I also do it evenly. Like, people know the standard, like from the culture, from the core values, from the mission statement, everybody knows the standard kind of across the board. And so they hold each other accountable. And so they're not surprised when I hold them accountable. They know the standards. They know when they mess up, they expect somebody to say something, as opposed to trying to hide it or pretend it didn't happen. And so if you're not afraid to mess up, and you know that you're going to be held to a consistent standard across the board, there's a lot less animosity, a lot less hierarchy like fighting. There's a lot less issues across the board that impacts the team's ability to just be the best version of themselves today. One person said we look great in black shirts. We wear a lot of black shirts.
What is your favorite benefit from having a culture like ours?
So, one of the biggest benefits I've seen from having a culture like this is, like, we evolve evenly. You see a lot of cultures where when people are afraid to try or fail or get held accountable or get, even constructive feedback, right? There's a lot of people that like get defensive. We don't have any of that. And so I think the benefit is like we communicate openly, we communicate from a place of love, but ultimately we communicate truth. And you communicate truth, progress and advancements and improvements and problem solving happens a lot faster, because no one has to have their way. Like, no one's like, no, my way's right, your way's wrong. We don't have literally none of that, because everybody understands that we're all trying to attack the same mission. We all have strengths and weaknesses, and we're all open to feedback. And so that clear, concise communication with the proper expectations of why it's happening, we get 25 to 30 initiatives implemented every quarter. Like, that doesn't, like, some companies don't get 20 to 30 problems solved in a year internally. They're just constantly just trying to like keep ahead of it. We're implementing 25 to 30 meaningful initiatives every single quarter, because we as a team are bought into the advancement of the mission to help more people and impact more people and help simplify and systemize the growth of more companies. And so, I think one of the biggest benefits I've seen is the ability for us to hold each other to the standard, hold each other accountable, and have no one trying to like be right. It's what's right and what's wrong. It's not who's right and who's wrong. And I think that's a huge differentiating factor. It's what's right or what's wrong, not who's right and who's wrong. I think that's huge.
Us versus the problem.
Us versus the problem. One of the biggest strengths of a really good culture is an even playing field. Everybody knows the rules when they show up. So not only are the good players supporting each other, but bad players, people that don't align with the values, stick out really quickly and just don't make it. So it makes it easier to vet and kind of thin the herd to the best possible people for the mission. Like, just because that they left this mission doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means they didn't align with the values of this company. That's not that doesn't make them bad, it just makes them not for me. Like, just because I don't want somebody eating at my table doesn't mean I want them to starve. I want you to win, you just don't fit in here, and that's okay. But I think having even playing field with fair and concise rules, being led by example from the top down, it allows everybody to know what's expected of them. And so there is never a question. People are never surprised when that they're celebrated or reprimanded in any way, or then people promote holding each other accountable because they don't want anybody to look like they're standing out as not fitting in, as part of the culture and the values. And so having that understanding the game, understanding the playing field has made it a game changer for us to evolve You know, I use the term rowing in the same direction at the same speed. If you've ever been on a boat and one person's out of cadence, the whole ship starts to slow down. You know, if I can get my whole team rowing in the same direction at the same speed, you move 10 times faster than somebody who's not. And that's the goal, is getting everybody on the same page, at the same speed, in the same direction, with the same rules and the same accountability. So if you're struggling with that, if that's something you have not been able to figure out for yourself, it's one of the biggest things we help people with, is figuring out how to build that culture, build those accountability, build those values, build that mission, build that team. Like it's not one thing, but building that holistic approach to winning at business and life is what we do at WinRate Consulting. And so if you're interested in that, reach out, let's connect. If you have questions, comment below. I don't even know where this video is going to be posted, but I want to help you win fast and win often.